We are at the Financial Planning Association's conference in Nashville. I'm joined by Joe Pitzl from Pitzl Financial in St. Paul, Minnesota. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Here to talk about college planning and families planning for that big life stage event. Obviously, it has to happen way before college. But talk to me about the whole holistic nature of making that plan as a family.
Yeah, so education obviously is a huge commitment. That's a values decision. Everybody goes about it in a little different way and has a little different kind of thought process or mentality in terms of how they want to tackle it. So there's no one-size-fits-all solution, which is both good and bad. Kind of brings out the creative element of the planning process, but at the same time, a lot of people sometimes just want a simple answer, and that's just not how it works.
It doesn't work that way, and the nature of education, especially college education, has changed dramatically in the past decade. So there's everything from junior colleges to online colleges to a couple of two-year programs, community colleges. The range has expanded, and therefore the choices that families can make has expanded too. How do you try to open those doors up for your clients to get them to understand that a little bit better?
Sometimes people can come in with some preconceived notions of what college is going to look like. Throughout the planning process, it really just requires trying to understand both the parents' objectives and also what the children are trying to accomplish as well, and what's realistic for them. The challenges can really just become, trying to help parents navigate this with an understanding that there has to be a big element of flexibility in there, not only to ensure that the kid is getting the education that they really want and desire, but also in some cases to actually protect some of the assets from inadvertent penalties and taxes.
What are the two or three of the most common misconceptions you see families have when it comes to planning for college?
Some people come with the sort of feeling or obligation that they owe this to their children entirely. There's some really interesting new research that's being published now and evidence that just shows that children that have skin in the game throughout the process actually perform better in school. They take it more seriously, they study harder and better and get better grades.
If you had one piece of advice that covers it generally for families thinking about starting that 529 plan or alternatives to funding their child's education, what would it be?
Consider that there ought to be a little bit more of a multi-pronged approach to the process. So not every dollar that gets allocated towards college savings, for example, should necessarily go into a 529 plan. In certain families, every dollar can. They're not really going to have the ability to save enough to cover the full cost of college. But you want to build some flexibility in there in case your child decides to take a different educational path. 529s, if you don't use them for education purposes, you get penalized pretty heavily. So, simple brokerage accounts. And we have some clients that instead of actually saving dollars into accounts for their children's education, they try to get a mortgage paid off by the time the kids go to school. And it frees up a whole bunch of cash flow to just pay it out of pocket. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. We just have to figure out which plan and strategy works best for you.
So it's that optionality, but also looking at planning from a holistic perspective, which sounds like something you do with the families you work with.
Absolutely.